Hey guys, this is Densuo. Today we're going to be covering normals. I want to break this down into several parts so that I don't bore you to death with my constant droning and so that the video won't be excessively long. We're going to go ahead and cover the initial parts, which is the walk speed, his wall jump, and his throws. His wall jump is actually very nice. So is his walk speed, and his throws are pretty, his forward and back throw lead into cross-up setups, and his air throw is, I would say, the fourth best in the game, behind Hakan when oiled, Vega, and Guile, I believe, in that order. The walk speed is something that people tend to not really notice unless they don't have it. Characters like Makoto and Cody people who use Cody and Makoto know what I'm talking about, because they walk excessively slow, as opposed to El Fuerte, who skips along pretty quickly. You can use that very much for example, walking in and then walking out of their area when they try to throw you, things like that. Then throw a poke out and things like that. It's very useful. Don't forget about that. You can you don't have to use a run special when you're trying to get away from somebody. You can just walk back, or you can just walk forward. It's pretty useful in that respect. Moving on, we're going to go into his wall jump. His wall jump is unique in that it rockets him across the screen. Granted, Seth can do that too, but unlike Seth, El Fuerte can control it by holding back on the stick/pad. If you can do that at any time. You don't have to hold back from the beginning. Now, that's what happens if you just hold forward, or if you don't do anything. You will jump pretty much across the screen completely. If you hold back during the wall jump, you can cut it short. Like you saw, we landed on the red line. That's where it lands if you hold back the entire time. So you basically have some controllable distance. This is good because you can sort of kind of use that as a bait to see if you can get them to uppercut or something like that, or get them to do something stupid. While you do your wall jump, you can do any of El Fuerte's normals in the air. You can do his air throw if you want to. They do not gain any special properties or extra damage or anything like that. You can also do his tostada press and his fajita buster off of the wall jump. The other nice little thing is you don't have to do it from the very top. There's a height restriction, of course, on the way up and on the way down. So you don't have to do it at the very top. Of course, if you do it at the very top, you'll technically go a little farther, or you'll be able to reach with certain things. For example, full screen fajita buster, things like that, as opposed to just doing it from the bottom and it won't reach, things like that. See what I mean? In any case, let's move on from there. That covers his wall jump. That covers his walk speed. Let's go ahead and touch on his throws. His throws are very nice. His air throw, for example, puts him immediately on the floor. A little bit, a little ambiguous there, but not really. Let's try that again. Move forward. Actually, let me try something. Now we're going to have him stop jumping for a second. Step forward and jump. Oh, looks like it whiffed. Oh well, we tried that one. In any case, it's useful because it brings him straight down to the ground. Does 140 damage, which is more than his standard throws, which is 120 damage. That throw is very, very useful. You can throw things. For example, you can throw Ryu. You can throw Ryu out of his hurricane kicks. For example, if you time it properly, you can throw him out of his air tatsu as well. Let's observe. I screwed that up, obviously. And I screwed that one too. Did that too early. There you go, there's that one. I think I did the air tatsu a little too late, so it won't really work. In any case, let's try that again. That'll do it this time. There you go. It's kind of harder with Ken because Ken spins faster, but there you have another use for it. Moving on from there, we have his normal throws. His forward throw, which if you step forward a bit and jump, you have a cross-up. And then his back throw, same exact deal. Because I switching sides, you step forward, you have a cross-up also. You didn't really see it because I kind of dropped it there because I did it too early, but hey. There you go. So, you have two cross-up setups there. I think if you do it properly, you might be able to get a cross-up setup after his air throw. This is extremely good because a lot of times with El Fuerte, because of his subpar normals, you don't have much damage you can do except with a throw. So what does that mean? You land your throw. You know, opponent might think, hey, this is nothing special. It's just a damn throw. It's just 120 damage. Next thing you know, you're crossing them up and smacking them across the face with a Run Stop Fierce. There you go. So that covers his throws. That covers his air throw. That covers his walk speed. His wall jump. We have one more thing left to cover as far as normals before we get into his actual normals, and that's his focus attack. His focus attack isn't half bad. It's got very good reach. That's the best part about it, is reach. So that makes it a decent baiting tool. So the focus attack can lead into both of his ultras. It can lead into crouching medium kick cross, to super, and of course it can lead into his most important thing, which is the Run Stop Fierce, which I just dropped because I suck, and even then I'm on a pad anyway, so whatever. So the focus attack opens up several things, just like everybody else's. It has a level 1, it has a level 2, which is when he flashes, and it causes a crumple, of course, and then we have level 3, which is the one that is unblockable and keeps its armor all the way. I would recommend, if you really want to use a focus with him, you want to do it at maximum range so that you can get the level 3. Like that, with the level 3, you'll take the hit while you're moving in, and then you'll smack them, with the focus attack. Because otherwise, if you're too close with El Fuerte's focus, they can grab you out of it. Okay? So keep that in mind. That basically covers all of that. The last thing to cover would be his dashes. His back dash and his front dash. El Fuerte actually has some of the fastest dashes in the game. They're very good in that respect because they're so darn fast. The thing that sucks about them is his back dash doesn't really go anywhere. So that kind of hinders him defensively. Sometimes. It depends. On some characters, like for example, backdashing Zangief's command grab, you're right there. You're in crouching medium kick range. Or for example, with, for that it's good. But for things like, for example, a long-reaching normal, or a long-reaching special move, it doesn't really help. So you got to know when to use it and when not to use it. But it's still there. Like I said, it's very fast. I kind of like annoying people when I do that repeatedly. His front dash moves forward very fast, so that's a good thing after doing one of his moves that have very long recovery. So that has its merits too. That covers all the normals that are, I guess you can say, common between characters. That's the first part of this video. The next thing we're going to be covering, on the next part, we're going to be covering his actual normals. We're going to be starting off with the grounded normals. So that's for standing, close, and crouching.